Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Harakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone GMS that rule well and that teach well. And peace, love, and salutations to you fellow Akim. All right, you elect pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth. Waking up the rest of the elect so Yahweh Shai can return and redeem us and get us up on out of here, man, out of this wicked kingdom, this wicked world. All right. Quick lesson, man. I was with some family, man. We all know how family is, man. They're worldly, especially our worldly family. I was around some family earlier today, and it was there was a cake, involved. Let's say it was a carrot cake, all right, and people asked me if I wanted some cake. I'm like, nah, I'm good. They asked me if I liked the cake. I'm like, yeah, I like carrot cake, and they're like, why don't you have some, come on, try some, and then my rib, she really wanted me to have a bite and just a nibble. I'm like, nah, man, I don't want no cake, man. You're not going to make me eat what I don't want to eat. I don't want to have no cake. And like earlier, people were like, well, why don't you want any, like, you like carrot cake? I'm like, yeah, they're like, get you some. I'm like, nah. They're like, well, why not? I'm not in the mood for cake right now. I don't want to eat cake. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, man, I was just like, usually, didn't get to me, but, how do you say it? I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do a lesson on this topic, man, because, hey, man, just because I like something doesn't mean, we have to eat it, Yeah, man, I like ramen noodles, but I don't eat ramen noodles, man, very rarely anymore. So I used to grow up on ramen noodles, but I very rarely eat ramen noodles, I actually go for the pricier, expensive ramen noodles, man, because they're healthier, But other than that, I really don't go for I don't eat ramen noodles, even though I really like them, But, they're not beneficial, man, for my health. And, there's a lot of soy in these ramen noodles and whatnot. Unlawful ingredients sometimes, depends on, you got to look out for the ingredients. There's tons of ingredients in ramen noodles. That's why I get the bougie kind. But I'm not eating ramen noodles like that anymore, man. Even though I like it, I'm not gonna eat cake. Even though I like it, I don't need to be like everybody, man. Like these people of this world. They just, it's something that they like that's in front of them. And, eat it anyway. Do it anyway. Like these people, these Christians, man. Because Christians, their philosophy, their belief is that the Lord died on the cross so you could fulfill the lust of your flesh. All right? Oh, it's okay. The Lord died. He shed his blood for us, so it's okay. We're not perfect. And that's how these Christians think, man. All right? And when you bring it to light, when you show them that, this is how you act, this is what you actually believe, they're like, no. These Christians are hypocrites, man, But I wanted to use that situation as a, video lesson, a topic, because, hey, man, we're not like these people of this world, man. Just because, it's in front of us, doesn't mean we have to indulge in it. Even though it's lawful, doesn't mean we have to indulge in it, man, Okay? And we got to practice and exercise, sustaining, abstaining from pleasing our flesh, okay? And actually exercise our spirit, not our flesh, all right? Because let's get this, John 6:63. It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing, okay? The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit, and they are life, okay? So this truth, all right, reading the Bible, all right, indulging yourself in the spirit of Yahweh Shemiel Shai, all right, that's what's gonna, that's what's gonna satisfy your soul, all right. That's the food that the Lord is gonna give you that satisfies your soul. That's the water and the drink that the Lord's gonna give, that He's gonna give you and gives you, that's gonna satisfy you. Because the things of this world, you eat a nice full course meal, your favorite food and whatnot, your favorite drink and whatnot. All right. The next day later, you're gonna want that same thing. You're still gonna be hungry and thirsty for that thing, man. All right. You get one of the prettiest girls, all right, imaginable, and you're gonna, eventually want another one. All right. You're gonna want a dark one, a light one, an Asian one, a Latino one, a Edomite one, all right. So this flesh profits nothing, man. All right. So that's why we got to exercise abstinence. All right. Talking about, concerning the flesh. All right. Eating, pleasing our flesh, indulging in things. Okay. The things of this world. And exercise the spirit. Okay. Like fasting, praying, doing lessons, abstaining from things of this world. That those are spiritual things, man. All right, praying, going out there and prophesying, hanging out with brothers in this truth, like-minded men in Yahweh Shemiel Shai. That's a spiritual act too, man. Okay. All right, watching videos. All right, watching GMS videos specifically. Not just any videos. Twerking videos or basketball highlights. No, man. All right, that's not spiritual, man. All right, exercising yourself in the spirit of Yahweh Shemiel Shai. All right, that's what that's what, is going to benefit you, man. All right. Yeah, we're of the world and we have to eat. Okay, we have to relax sometimes, take our minds away from this truth sometimes, but let it be far and few, man. All right, just let it be just enough. All right, so we could, get up and do the work of the Lord. All right, because we can't do the work of the Lord 24/7 all day, every day. No, man, we got to sleep. We got to eat. We got to take a little break sometimes, All right, you can't study and teach 24/7, man. All right, if we could, we would, if I could, I would. All right, that's my spirit talking. If I could, I would. I'll go out there, prophesy, and teach all day, every day, nonstop. But no, we have to go sleep. We have to go to work. We have to take care of our families. Shoot, we gotta take time to, shut off our brains sometimes. Like play a video show. I like to play my video games sometime, man. I like to go play basketball or work out. But our main priority, okay, is doing the work of Yahweh Shemiel Shai. Okay, sometimes I indulge in cake, carrot cake. I like tres leches cake. I like, whatnot, even though it's unhealthy. But that's why we look for healthier options, so it doesn't affect us, all right? Because gluten, I have gluten sensitivity. I don't like eating frosting because I know frosting is just sugar, and that doesn't benefit you if you're not working out a lot. That's why, and brothers, we push to work out, because, hey, there's sugar and extra carbs all over in this American diet. That's why even working out was a spiritual thing, man, sometimes. But, hey, like the scriptures say, exercise profiteth little, but it profits. So, hey, there's sugar all over in this American diet. That's why we look for healthier options. Or if we do, indulge in some sugar, go work out, burn it off, That's why I go work out as much as I can. I hit the sauna as much as I can. Whenever I can, I do a little sprint or a jog, because living in America, we're always sitting down, we're always, laying down, sitting down in a car, at a desk, on break, we're sitting, at home, we're sitting on a couch, we're laying down, driving home, driving to work, driving to pick something, we're sitting down, and that messes up your posture and your back, You don't get to burn off all those sugars that you just ate all day. And, that's beside the point. But, hey, man, we got to be exercising the spirit mainly, doing the work of the Lord. And everything else is secondary, And, hey, I could easily eat a whole ass cake, But that's not going to benefit me, man. And actually, me not eating that cake is better than me eating that cake, All right? The piece of American pie, Americana, which could come in many forms. Women, food, drink, all right? Hobbies, all types of stuff, man. Me not, doing this and that, and it benefits us, man, all right? That's why fasting is one of the best things a brother could do in this truth, man, when they have the chance to. All right, fast and pray, and you can move mountains, okay? Like the scriptures say, What kind of mountains? Spiritual mountains, all right? Things that you couldn't get over, but now you could get over, man. You used to have a drinking habit. You fasted and you prayed to Yahweh Shema Shai. Now that drinking habit is less and less, that drinking habit is easier to get over, man. You don't drink as much no more or at all, All right, and that goes for any other habit in this world that you have, man, So, yeah, man, abstaining from fleshly things, lusts, things, is a bit more beneficial than having a little bit, hey, man, I could have easily had a slice of cake. I didn't want to, man, because, hey, man, we got to flex. All right, we got to start flexing our spiritual muscle, man, and me not eating a cake is not the biggest deal in the world, man, I'm not saying, brothers, when you're around family, don't eat cake, don't eat at all. Hey, man, if you want to, hey, go ahead and have some cake. Don't stir, the fire. Don't kindle a fire within your family, But my family, they know how I am, man. I have a weird, I eat weird. According to them, I eat weird. But hey, man, according to the Lord, I don't. According to the Bible, I don't eat weird. But to them, I do. I don't eat pork. I don't eat shrimp, crab, lobster. I don't, drink a beer when they want me to. I don't drink around family. I drink by myself. Listening to brothers, GMS videos. Alone. Playing my video game. I watch GMS videos. All right. Because I like to be with the Lord, man. Not with these worldly ass people. But hey, man, there's nothing wrong with being different, So, back to 1 Peter 4:4, it says, wherein they think it strange. 1 Peter 4:3, it says, for the time past of our life may suffice us to have wrought the will of the Gentiles when we walked in lasciviousness, lust, excess of wine, revelings, banquetings, and abominable idolatries, wherein they think it strange that ye run not with them to the same excess of rioting, speaking evil of you. So these people, they look at us strange. They say evil things about us because we don't want to do what everybody's doing, man. All right, we don't want to drink when everybody else is drinking a beer. Okay, we don't want to party or have fun at that exact moment when you guys are doing it on a holiday. We'd rather go chill, do something else. We don't want to hang around family, around holidays, Okay. We want to do the work of the Lord, man. We want to celebrate the Lord's high holy days, okay? I don't want to eat an unhealthy ass cake, just because there's cake there. Just because I like it doesn't mean I have to eat it, and really I don't have to give no explanation why. Hey, I don't want to eat. I don't have to eat, man, Okay, even though it's lawful to eat cake, I don't have to, What's that one precept that popped up in my mind? But, yeah, man, but I'm going to continue. So yeah, man, these people think we're weird, not following them to the same actions of fulfilling their flesh. You know, people think it's weird because I'm not eating a cake, even though I like the cake. Why don't you eat? Why aren't you eating it, even though you like it? Because I don't have to, man. There's gonna be many cakes in front of my face in the near, in the future. I'm gonna have many this ain't gonna be the last cake I'm ever gonna see that I might want to eat. And I'm not exercising. I'm not gonna exercise anytime soon. Tomorrow I'm gonna be too busy, and the next day too. So this cake isn't gonna benefit me any. Even though it's good. So I had better types of cakes. It's not my favorite type of cake. And that's just one example. Eating a cake is just one example, man. All right. Women. All right. Drinking. Other things, man. Shoot, even hitting the gym. Sometimes I don't have to hit the gym. I could spend time, doing the work of the Lord. Okay. All right. Sometimes we need to take a nap or go to sleep. Shoot, go take a nap, man. Instead of doing something else. Okay. I'm just bringing out examples. Where just because we could do it doesn't mean we don't have. It doesn't mean we have to. Galatians 6:8 it says, "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting." This is why we abstain from fleshly desires. Because we know it's just going to make us weaker if we always accept pleasing our flesh. Even one little piece of, not one little piece, but even eating a cake, because I can, it's not going to do much, but it's going to it's going to do something. It's going to inch me closer to making my flesh weak. And I know myself, man. I know, hey, once I get started eating unhealthy, I'm going to continue eating unhealthy, man. I know myself. So why even try, why even, why? Months ago, I haven't eaten ice cream in months. I can't even remember. I used to eat ice cream all the time. Like every other day, I used to have some ice cream. And myself would be, I would give myself the excuse, because I work out a lot. Ice cream is going to be beneficial towards my workouts and muscle building and whatnot, because it has protein and sugar in it. That's good for my muscles. And then I eventually just, stop eating ice cream, man, because, hey, there's better and healthier things, for your muscles. And that's minute. That's small, and that's fleshly in itself, building your muscles, I mean, we are supposed to exercise, but, hey, what's more important, though? Doing the work of the Lord, man. Eating ice cream makes me lazy, makes me sleep more, makes me more tired. It makes me build a lot of mucus in my body. Therefore, I get sick more easy. And we're in wintertime now, So I've been stopped eating ice cream, man. And that's just one example, I feel better. I got more energy, I don't eat as much gluten, all right? I do sometimes, but I don't eat that much gluten, I feel better, all right? More energy, sleep better, What else? I drink less, But yeah, I don't eat as much sugar, I feel better, man. And doing the work of the Lord is more easy, because I'm not tired, and I'm not tired all the time, man. I'm not sick all the time, I feel more clear-minded, because I abstained from pleasing the flesh. I stopped sowing the flesh, feeding the flesh, and I started feeding the Spirit, by way of abstinence, abstaining, all right, from fleshly desires, like eating ice cream, eating what I want, you know. Therefore, it's easier to do the work of the Lord. All right, my spirit is more stronger, you know. 1 Corinthians 7:31, it says, "And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away." Okay, we're in the world. All right, we're in these third dimensional bodies. We live in Babylon the Great, aka America. All right, but don't get so hard on yourself if you go off. Not go off, but please your flesh sometimes, or even a little bit too much. Just watch out next time. Because we're in this world. All right, use it though. We have hobbies, and use it to your advantage. All right, not to destroy yourself. Okay, don't abuse it, but use it to your advantage. All right. Let's get Sirach 37:27. It says, "My son, prove thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it." All right, so hey, that what this means is, hey, you know yourself, man. The scriptures say to examine thyself. All right, know yourself. Know you not your own selves. Know you not yourself. Do you not know how you are concerning certain substances and foods and things of this world, and how you are? Do you not know how yourself is? Learn more about yourself, man. All right. It says, "And give not that unto it." All right. Why? Because you're gonna sow to your flesh. All right, and your flesh is gonna be stronger than your spirit, and you won't be able to be in the spirit to do the work of the Lord. Therefore, when Jacob's trouble comes, you're not going to be prepared because your spirit is going to be weak. The scriptures say, in the time of tribulation or adversity, in the time of adversity, let's get that. How faint. Proverbs 24:10, it says, "If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small." All right, and this is talking about your spirit, your spiritual strength. When Jacob's trouble comes, all right, which, hey, the whole world's going to go through Jacob's trouble, man. We're all going to be in trouble, going through tribulations, spiritual and physical, all right? And if you faint and fall, and, fall out of the truth and whatnot, take the MOTB or whatever, all right? That means you weren't sowing to the spirit. You were sowing to the flesh, okay? And the Lord never chose you, man, okay? He gave you up to a flesh-pleasing spirit, desiring spirit, man, okay? Last precept, 1 John 2:16, it says, "For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world." Okay? So, hey, the Lord, He's not even with the things of this world. He's not even pleased with you pleasing your flesh, Okay? All right. The things of this world is, the Lord, He's not even with that, man. He's with you, all right, serving Him, all right, abstaining from this world, because He's pleased with that, man. Because you show you abstaining from this world and your lustful, fleshly desires. All right, the Lord sees that, and He sees you, rather to choose to suffer for the Lord, man. He's pleased with that. All right, because you're willing to give up your wants to serve your Father, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay? So, hey, right there and then, hey, we should, exercise abstinence, spiritual abstinence, physical, fleshly abstinence. That's what I meant, you know, not spiritual, because we should be in the spirit more. Okay, praying, fasting, doing the righteous acts of the Lord, keeping the Lord's commandments to the best of our ability, reading, taking notes, hanging around brothers in this truth. All right, going out there and just doing the work. All right, we all know what the work is, man. Just do the work. Okay.